good morning, good morning. This is kind of a test. I have no idea how this is going to work or if it's even going to work. What I decided to do is use my earbuds and see if that microphone wouldn't work as a more effective microphone for recording. I don't know if it'll record video and pick up sound from this. I've got I've got 8 or 9 other recording devices in the car with me. So this may be the intro, or it may be the, nope, that didn't work and you'll never see it. So, hop in. Let's go for a spin.
Hey, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something. Hey, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something.
Okay, I listened to the playback of the audio, and I was going to dump it and realized that maybe the volume was down on my, sorry about that, on my phone, and decided to go ahead and shoot a little bit more footage. Look, the biggest deal here is with iMovie, it's easy to just do snips, drag them into iMovie, stitch them together. It does its fade in, fade out. It's very simple. I haven't opted to try and start putting music on videos or anything. It may be a matter of catch 22, chicken or the egg, or whichever expression fits, but I don't have the viewership to devote that kind of time to the hours of editing that it would take to do that kind of overlays and stuff like that, and then the learning curve. And I guess maybe if I did, I would have them. So like I said, catch 22, chicken or the egg, which came first. Also, as soon as the other types of recording devices have the user-friendly controls, like the GUI on a iPhone, maybe not the GUI, but the interface, I would switch to it, most likely, to whatever format that is. But unfortunately, like, I can see myself and I know when I'm out of frame or in frame. However, it doesn't have a rear-facing screen, so I don't know if I'm in screen when when I've got it on a tripod. So, it's kind of 6 one, half dozen the other. I have a DJI Osmo camera that looks just like a GoPro. I have GoPros. I have 6 or 7 other GoPro knockoffs. And the problem is that they all use SD cards. They all have SD cards and they're all fully charged. Everything's ready. Blah, 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 blah. However, having to pull the card and download it, I don't think the editing software that I would have to use is anywhere as near user-friendly as iMovie on the Apple. And I don't know if I can just drag that format of data into iMovie. So what I'm struggling with now is finding a microphone that will keep recording. I threw away 4 or 5 hours of video the other night because the audio just left in the middle of it. and maybe it was a good thing. I don't know. So, what's on tap today? Earlier today, I did all my make ready for building or doing some work on an arrow antenna, but two different types of arrow antenna. One where the antenna are the element, and another one that's an ultralight where the antenna or the arrow is the common rail. And I've got some pretty interesting ideas on that, so I hope you stick around. I hope the volume stays, because I get it. Sometimes the volume not being there just sucks ass, and I do apologize for that, and I'm striving towards that, plus balancing an 11-hour-a-day work day. So it kind of leaves my weekends only to... There's a lot of catch up to do on the weekends. So I'm going over to my storage unit to get the stands and the portable table that I made last week that I was going to video. I videoed and there was no sound. So you will see them already completed. Maybe I'll do a rough by and by of what I did to build them, and we'll see from there. All right, let me see if I can turn this off and not get dyed here. Okay, so just kind of jump right in here. Y'all saw the weight bench stands, or the bench press stands that I used for the kayak. My concern then and now would have been to have the kayak setting on that yoke with these metal things pointing up at the angles that they were. It would have eventually punched a hole in the bottom of the kayak. So what I did is I got some pressure treated 4x4 and cut it to match that and bolted it to it, and did it on both so that they're a flat surface. Okay, these two white sheets here that are forming the table are actually wall mounts for heavy industrial size and weight computer monitors. Okay, like 70-inch monitors. These things weigh about 30 pounds each. I mean, less than that, probably 20. So anyways, thick steel. Okay, so I didn't want to throw them away. I couldn't figure out a way to ship them if somebody wanted to buy them. So I said, screw it, let me see if I can use them for something. And the only thing I really had to do is put a notch right here so that the two metal lips would fit in there, and it's a level deck. Okay, so now I have a collapsible, movable workstation for that. Okay, to put the drill press and the belt sander on. I took the plywood off of that stand and it's bolted down. I'm probably gonna have to get some shorter bolts because I might just leave those there that are there, but this is bolted to the stand. Okay, I got a big 8-inch wire wheel to put on probably this side because that's the finer one, that's a coarser grit. I got 1100 grit or 1200 grit belt to go there to sharpen knives with. And then I bought these chunks of poly. They're called tapping blocks. It's so that you can smack flooring when you're putting it in, and it'll tighten the flooring up. So when people are installing the bamboo flooring or scraped wood flooring, the manufactured wood tongue and groove flooring, it knocks the grooves together. Okay, and without marring the wood tongue and groove, they smack this with a hammer. Okay, so then what I have is, and I got a 50 pack of blades for my jigsaw. This is going to be the mounting. I'm going to cut a slice off of here and then cut it in quarters, and that's going to be the mounting point for the aerials on that antenna there. Okay, that's going to be a 2-meter Yagi with 4 radials out of 3.5 millimeter instrument wire, rigid wire. And this is a dual band 440 2-meter that I'm making. And I've already cut the links on the radials. Now all I need to do is put this in the drill press and knock holes in it. And where these are joined, I cut the arrows to be specifically the same, you know, so they would meet in the center. This is going to be a bonded type of antenna. Hold on, I'll zoom back here in a second. It's almost impossible to do stuff one-handed holding an antenna or something. You can see that that's a spring clip. I believe it's a 5/16 spring clip. Okay, and it goes in there quite a ways on the one side, but it's a little sloppy. So I'm either going to drive something in it to knock that opening out further. Come on, focus, you bastard. There it is. That slot, open that slot up a little bit so it's tighter inside. Or I've cut the arrows so that they're exactly equal length for the elements so that they'll join in the center. So when I put them in, I'll just drop a screw right in there to grab that and tighten that joint up so it doesn't come flying out. But the 440 elements are going to be on one side vertically, and the 2-meter are going to be horizontal oriented and polarized. And I guess I just need to center up the marks to make sure they're in the center of the center rail, and those where they're supposed to be, and start drilling. And that should be a fairly simple installation to get finished. I need to get some more of these to go on the ends of these. And then we're going to be cutting that like a, I don't know, finger width slice off of there, and then cutting that into quarters, and then doing some trimming, some sanding, and some shaping on this. And it may be more efficient to put the wire wheel on here and do some of the rough shaping of those quarters on the wheel with the wire wheel. So that's the dealio. Let me crank out here, and I'll bring you back in when I got something to show you. Okay, I've gone through and used a finishing nail, big finishing nail, as a nail punch or a mark, and put a mark at each one of the locations. Okay, on that side for the 2-meter, and in every one of these for the 440. Now, I paused this to jump out here and just have a quick little yah-yah with you. Some of the things from my understanding, okay, is the length of radials, the spacing of radials, and how they, if they're in the same height, same position along the length of the rail, okay? It's not so much that they have to be centered, okay? They all have to be the same along the length of the rail, so that they are on the exact same plane, if you will, when you go to put the radials in. I'm going to, this is kind of the craziest chuck I've ever seen. You press it up in onto the shaft. I don't know how impressed I am with that, but we'll see if it works. It's is just for light aluminum stuff, and if that's the case, then we are golden. So yeah, they just all have to be the same. Either all off-center this way or off-center that way, but the same place all the way down the length of the rail. And you didn't see me riding my finger all the way down, but that's what I was doing. So let me jam that chuck up in there and drill some holes and see what's going on. One other thing that I wanted to mention is, while it's not rocket surgery, the diameter of these holes that I'm going to knock in here, they need to be fairly close, but because I'm going to put a screw in on this side to each one to lock it into place, it's not as critical as you would think it would be. I mic'd this, and you know, doing this one-handed is always just a good old time. So the closest drill bit that I have that's going to allow those radials to slip in is a little bit big, but again, it's not rocket surgery, and we are going to be locking the aerials or the elements down. Now I've got a rivet gun. I could drop a rivet in there, but I really wanted them to be able to be removed at some point if I wanted to for ease of storage, because that's kind of a wide element. But I just wanted to put that in there, that this is a bonded Yagi. It's not free floating where they're non-bonded, where the elements are not touching the rail. It's a different type, and that's basically like just a straight dipole with a director and reflector. Director, reflector, let's begin, party people. Anyways, I thought there was a song there somewhere. This is all going to be mechanically and electrically bonded, so there will be a machine screw going into the backside holding the elements in. Just wanted to make that crystal clear. Okay, hopefully the fan noise isn't too bad. It's so hot in here, I didn't want to turn it off. So I dropped the holes in all the way down that side, all the way through. Okay. That's there. And then I went through and just used this. It's a step bit, and knocked some of the rough stuff off of it so that you don't cut your little dainties. And now we can start fitting the radials into place. Okay, keeping with the tradition of having the fan blowing and making noise, what I'm going to do to make this as simple as possible, because, me, I'm going to take each one of these radials out, okay? Elements, and I'm going to find the halfway point, okay, and then line and put a mark at the halfway point. Put that halfway point here in the center, and then simply, just for the sake of argument, say that there was a mark here in the center, and that was on there straight. Then where this edge is, hanging over, put a mark there so that when I slide that inside, I will know that that mark where my finger is would be the outside edge and the center mark would be there, so that when I start dropping self-tapping screws in, they go right in and into this tubing. And these will be equal distance straight down the middle. Okay, that's really important that you get this part right. All of it, it's important that you get it right, but the closer to dead nuts on, that's scientific, the better all efficient, and the better gain, the better impedance, the better SWR, the better. So don't rush through this part. Take your time. Make sure it's lined up right. Make sure that they're in there right before you start mounting them. And make sure that they are equal from here to here on both sides before you mount them in place. And then it would help also if you predetermine which side is going to be the bottom. This is going to be the bottom. This is going to be the bottom of the antenna, so that's why it's facing up. So the screws will go in here, and it doesn't matter, you know. 6 ways from Sunday. Just get her done, and then we're going to do the same thing over there. But remember, we know that this is split right in half. So the set screw that we put here needs to hit this joint, and this needs to be pointed in a direction so that that spring rod is, the opening is there so that the screw hits it and spreads it out and tightens it up. That's the theory, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, in the fan heavy antenna room, what I've done is I set this up with this small bit, and I've marked each of them, each of the radials elements. And what I've decided I want to do is I'm going to get these where they need to be, and then I'm going to set them up there and drill through this sidewall into the top sidewall of the element. I don't want to go all the way through and like through bolt or do any of that nonsense. I just want to put a screw and tighten it up that way. Okay, now that's going to require that I get a 1/2 inch, I believe 1/2 inch. Well, here's a self-tapper, but I don't really want a self-tapping screw. I only need 10 of them, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so the reason I don't want a self-tapping screw is I'm afraid the tip, if I get them all the same, the tip is going to be too aggressive when it hits that spring opening there, and cause it to be a little too aggressive with that. Not really interested in bending the crap out of everything. So I think just a standard machine screw or a metal screw. I might have tossed them all in my pocket. Which would be, you know, hey, where'd they go? I don't know. Well, where'd you do with them? I don't know. Then here they are. So That's what I'm gonna go get a pack of. And I'll be back. Okay, so we are back in the lab or the garage, and there it is. 2 meter 440 Yagi, made with arrows. Something is up with the focus on this thing, because it's making this one look like it's bent, but when you look at it straight up, it's not. It's a straight shot. Well, hell, it makes that angle made it look like it was going off at an angle, but it's not. The distances from here to here and from there to there are the same. There to there, there to there. It's square, it's parallel, and it's properly stepped and sequenced. This will be the driven element, and for the 2 meter, and this will be the driven element for the 440. And I have a duplexer, or I forget what it's called. I think it's a duplexer, where you can have a UHF and VHF fed into the same radio, and it's a box, and I'll probably strap it like right here. But yeah, couple of takeaways. If I was to do this again and somebody's saying, hey, I want to do that, if you're going to do it as a bonded, where the metal is touching, okay, you may want to use something other than arrows, because they are a oddball size. Okay, so there's nothing really that is the same size, especially like interior diameter. The aluminum does not solder very well because it's anodized. So even trying to solder a piece together, and you can't get an arrow that's that long, so it's going to be 2 pieces. Same with that one and that one. Well, that could have been, I don't know. I'll have to get the measurements on those if anybody's interested, and the spacing. But you could easily do this with aluminum tubing if you could get longer lengths like that. Like if you could get it in a 4-foot stick of 6mm tubing, something like that. And make sure that you have drill bits that are that size. My drill bits, while I thought they were close enough, it was a little sloppy, but again, it's screwed to it under here. So it's a bonded process. It's not like it's going to go anywhere. But this is a permanently put together deal. This is not a take apart, throw in your trunk, get on down the road. This isn't one that you put in your backpack. And the way that you would do that would be to do this and get arrows, okay, regular arrows that have a removable point, okay? And at this point, and even in talking about that, you're starting to get into an area where it's just cheaper to buy. Well, no, this is like $275 for this version from Arrow antennas. It's the Arctic or the Alaskan. I forget which one it's called, the model. But that's like $275. So you may be getting off a little bit cheaper building it yourself. But the way that I would do it is I would get all thread and 3/8 and put it through here, and a nut and a nut, a nut and a nut. Same thing here. And then you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 2, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 arrows. Okay, so 2 dozen arrows. Those ain't cheap. You're talking $100 in arrows. Unless you know somebody that can get you arrows cheaper. And then I would unthread the point and thread the arrow on. Okay, if you want it disassembled and easy to screw with, that's the way I would do it. The frustrating thing about this whole process is I set my sights on building one of these things with arrows, and the link in Amazon, you go search aluminum arrows and you're going to see red ones and blue ones, okay? And they come by a dozen, and they're like $34 a dozen, something like that. And it's like, cool. And then when you scroll down, it'll say, hey, add this to your order, and there's little inserts that you can press in here, okay? That's got threads on it. And then it also has a coupler that's got threads, and then threads on the other side. So it's like, hey, wow, I could just, push an insert in there, thread that in there, thread the other one in, and then I've got the links. Maybe not here, you don't need it, right? Because it's shorter. Out of 130-inch plain, without the feathers, I forget what they're called, but you can probably get all 4 of those and this one out of one arrow, okay? Just with a tubing cutter. If those fittings that are threaded that you can push in here actually snugly fit, and they don't. They are fully, I think they were 0.2 millimeters too small. So I sent them all back with the connector, and now I've got all these arrows and these shafts. What do I do? So that left me with the spring steel as the only thing that would really, really, really work in a maybe take it apart scenario, but this ain't a maybe take it apart scenario anymore. So if you're going to do it this way, I'm just planning on getting yourself some 5/16 exterior outside diameter tubing or metal, and screwing them together, and have one side of your boom a little bit sloppy, so that side, where you had to notch them together, you can get the damn arrow through there, because there's going to be a lump. Okay, no way around it unless you pin it and then grind it. So this is the biggest thing is the lengths of the tubing that you need and finding them, okay? Unfortunately, that's kind of a trick, especially straight. On the 2 meter. On the 440, you can do that all day long. So the next step would be to connect here and here, and I think I might even just do it alligator clips onto it. Or I may even screw around and try to do a gamma match for this and a gamma match for that, here and here, and that's the front of it. That's the business end. This is the back end, and who knows? I've got plenty of materials to make a gamma match, or a hairpin. There's always a hairpin match. So yeah, and I'm investigating that there's a lot of people, all they do is they just grind a little metal off here, grind a little metal off there, and connect your 2 leads to it, And from everything that I've seen is that right in the center where these two are joined, it's 0. So it doesn't matter if they're connected or not connected. This connection here, this mechanical connection, that might make a difference. But as far as those two pieces being connected, I'm not for sure that that's going to make any real big difference, especially if you use like a hairpin matcher, because it's 0. So there it is. It was an absolute pain in the ass to build, and personally, I did it because I wanted to prove I could do it. I did it. Now I've got to tune it and match it. That's the only other thing. If it was me, I would spend the money on a factory-made aero antenna before they get too much more expensive. Now there's another one that they make, the Alaskan, and I think it's got it's an X where they've got identical going both ways, so it's both vertically and horizontally polarized. And there's a way of them crossing and touching where you have a matching unit where you have the feed point on one, the center insulator or the center pin is a little bit longer, like 6 millimeters longer on either this or this. And what that does is it takes it out of phase and it turns it into a circular polarization. And that's how a lot of the military satellites are. And it depends on which way you do it. Is it a left or a right hand polarized? Circular polarized, left or right hand, and that matters as well. So lots of crazy things that you can do. And the next thing that I'm going to do is either cut a hunk off that piece of poly right there so I can cut it into fourths and do some machining-ish stuff to make the mounting points for that one. And that one is to travel with. So anywho, there's that. And I guess now I got to find a place so I can stick it and keep it out of the way, so it's not in the way. Because once you've got them sticking out 2 different directions, they're a pain. You really need to get them on a pole and off the ground, or in the air somewhere, so that they're not getting broke off. So that's this. If you like this video and you could actually hear the damn thing this time, comment, give me a thumbs up, maybe think about subscribing. I think one of these days I'll have an antenna matching day where I'll be tuning and testing all these antennas that I put together and giving you the readings, impedance and capacitance and SWR on them, so that you know if it's a worthy of your time project or not. And last thought on this whole thing, I always thought those tape measure PVC antennas were kind of hokey looking. The ease of manufacturing, making those versus doing it like this and trying to do it correctly and industrial strength, there's a lot to be said for a PVC tape measure Yagi. So thanks for watching, and I hope this was worthy of your viewing time. Bye.